So Madeira Terraces, I'm here with Councillor Joe Miller from the Rottingdean Coastal Ward. We've got an update. We've been keeping in touch quite regularly on this issue, haven't we? And I know there's been some good progress with the design of the new terraces and how the first 30 or so arches that are going to be restored might look.
Yeah, so remember previously I came on to talk about sort of budgets and financing and how we sort of supported through our budget amendment the Madeira Terraces and getting that initial phase underway and closing the gap in funding. And so what we've been doing for the past sort of maybe since February, the Budget Council, is we've been seeing experts, consultants come in, business consultants, business plan consultants and design consultants, and coming up with sort of REBA stage 1 to 4. We're not at that stage yet, but what we've now in a position to have learned is that the structure of the terraces is obviously salvageable, and we're sort of seeing the initial ideas come out from those consultants of what may work in sort of financing terms, the potential to put in some areas some commercial uses, but probably not as many as we thought initially, sort of zoning it to try and encourage people to move along Madeira Drive, but not filling in all the arches as was previously the case. We're sort of trying to strip that back a bit, keep some for public open access, and looking at imaginative ways to raise funding from events and other things around there and potential other income streams to try and support the ongoing maintenance and the funding of the terrace. And so it's really important now that the council considers itself, the new Green administration, how it's likely to fund ongoing stages. So what we've done, it was always going to be a 5-phase programme. We called on it to be a 3-phase programme and the council to fund the finance. What we're sort of looking to do now is probably have a 4-phase programme. The first of those phases is for 41 arches. And so we're now going to work on final design. We know where that's likely to be, and going to final design. As you see in the report, a very interesting report from the history of Madeira Terraces from our sort of heritage consultants. And so I would encourage people to go and read that. And you can see the background as to why things are being done in that way. It's likely that the first phase will be that between the pier and the Concord but closer to the Concord end, which is actually an original piece of. So the terraces were actually originally symmetrical. If you were to look at the Concord, they had sort of 50 either side, and then there was a later extension to the terraces towards the pier. And so we're focusing on that middle part.
Yeah, and it's going to be around, like you said, the Concord too. So this is really good news, isn't it? Because it's been a long time in the making. I know you've put a lot of effort into it. You're on the project board as well. So something is happening, and that's always good to see, because they're not getting any better, are they, the terraces? They're only, you know, the kind of the bad weather we've had recently, it only does more damage to the terraces, and it just basically means we need to spend, you know, the more it goes on, the more money we've kind of got to spend, isn't it, almost?
Well, yes, I mean, every year this goes on, they get weather without protection, the costs for the actual overall project will increase to restore them, and likewise, our costs to keep them standing goes up. We're currently spending about £170,000 a year keeping them propped up. I would argue that's far better spent on restoring the terraces and borrowing against that money that you could save. So if we can make that £170,000, £200,000 saving, we could borrow against that to raise a lot more money to actually fund the terraces. And so I think it's now the time for the Green administration, with our support and Labour support, to actually put Madeira Terraces as a fundamental priority line within our capital budget, which means that rather than we've been in a position where we've had sort of a piecemeal approach of funding, where we've had to borrow money or find money from here to pay for this amount and sort of, you know, raise money from here or just a small allocation here. What we now need to do, and what I hope the Green administration will do over the coming months, is actually build that budget into our baseline budget, which means the council will see that as a corporate priority, and therefore the funding, all other council budgets will be set around that baseline, and therefore it will have the funding it needs.
Yeah, and we're basically using your model, aren't we, Joe? Because you said that we could you know, talking about how we can borrow off the back of these units if we rent them out. So that is the kind of the approach that the council's taken, right?
Yeah, so it's,
broadly speaking.
Broadly speaking, there's a number of clever mechanisms that can be used that would raise additional funding, which we are exploring. Some of it may be fees and charges. You know, there was a petition which we amended to ask about parking charges, whether they can be allocated. Things like beach huts. There is a number of things, rental from units, which could fund ongoing maintenance or be borrowed against to provide funding. So there's a number of things that we are reviewing, but ultimately I think the council now needs to put it into its capital budget, and also we're going to look at heritage lottery funding, which is difficult because you have once you start a project, the heritage lottery fund like to be at the beginning of it rather than throughout it. But what we're trying to do is lobby the Heritage Lottery Fund to enable us to start the project with the funding we've got on phase 1, but they maybe join at a later phase. And so if we can have an in-principle agreement, they would allow that, and that would be welcome. And so the council and the project board are working on that currently.
Brilliant. Okay, it's a good news story then, isn't it? Really. And when do you think these? I mean, it's a long. I mean, we're not quite sure when the 30 arches might be ready, but we got any kind of time on 2022? Maybe I'm thinking.
So phase 1 will hopefully start construction in 2021, which is the first 41,
so 1 year.
41 arches, hopefully by 2022.
2022,
the current plan is for all 4 phases to be delivered by 2024.
Yeah.
What we want to see is a rolling programme of this. We don't want to see sort of, it obviously becomes, if we want to try and do one procurement exercise, because then it gives us the ability, rather than having to keep, because procurement exercise is very slow, we don't want to have to keep paying for site offices to be built and then taken from site.
Exactly.
So we're trying to, so all of this is being thought of at this early stage so that we can have a smooth transition into the 4 stages, which is why it's essential now that the council prioritise this in their medium-term financial strategy so that we can then plan for the 4 phases rather than just planning for 1 phase.
Yeah, and this is a good example of cross-party initiative, isn't it? Because everyone's on board with this, but the community and obviously the 3 major parties on council. So it's a good example of actually everyone working together, and it's borne some fruit, isn't it, really? So
I think so, yes.
Good news. Thank you, Joe. Cheers.
Thank you.